Hey guys, this is Sarah from Sports Right. I know all our listeners are really excited to have Jason Alamo with us today. He is the owner of the Alamo Academy in Corpus Christi, Texas. So, Coach, how's the weather down there in Texas this time of year?
Hey, Sarah, it's been great. It's been cold, but it was 80 today. The sun was out. I know it's a lot warmer than where you guys are at.
Yeah, for sure. So, Coach, tell our listeners a little bit about what you do.
Well, Sarah, I opened up the Alamo Academy about 4 months ago here in Corpus Christi. I am a former Division I college baseball coach, and through that process and through that time, I found that I had the most fun getting athletes better, making better baseball players through fundamentals. So as I started doing that through coaching our teams, I was able to get to the point where I can open my own business and start training kids. And right now, this week I did 80-plus lessons, anywhere from 5 years old to high school players, a couple pro guys, a couple college guys in the mix, but it's one-on-one instruction, and it's been my passion, so it's been a lot of fun.
That sounds great. So, Coach, as you know, a lot of our listeners here are coaches and parents. What are some things that you think they can do to help their young athletes?
Well, a few things that I see with parents and youth coaches is when you try to talk to your players and when you're coaching them, to change the terminology. Obviously, when I'm coaching my college guys, and I actually have a couple 4- and 5-year-olds, and when we're coaching those, two different types of players, two different types of terminology. So I encourage coaches to find the terminology that works. For instance, when we're teaching a ground ball for a 4-year-old, we talk a lot about the alligator mouth, and we talk about, let's say they're a right-handed thrower, their left hand, they have their glove on their left hand, we talk about the right hand coming over the glove, kind of making like an alligator. And through that terminology, they're able to learn what we're asking them to do. If we put it more complex, in the words of a college or a high school guy, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So we slow it down, we make it so they can understand what we're trying to get them to do. And sometimes I think parents get discouraged because they're saying the same things to their players and they're not learning. And I challenge the parents and the coaches, just change your words around. Do something different. And if you keep doing something different in different words and different terms, they're able to learn what you're asking them. So change around the way you're kind of trying to relate to your player. Another thing that I would say is, I get a lot of what I call the head nodding syndrome. And I'm sure I didn't make that term up. I'm sure I remember it from somewhere. But the head nodding syndrome is, for instance, a couple weeks ago I had a player, and I'm talking to them. They're about 9 or 10 years old, and we're talking about a hitting technique. And I ask them, do you understand that? Does that make sense to you? And they're nodding their head, and they're saying, yes, Coach, that makes sense. And something to me just didn't seem right. So I said, okay, what do you mean? What made sense? What does that term mean? And the player looked at me and said, Coach, I have no idea. So you really sometimes have to step back as a coach or as a parent and make sure that they're not getting into the head nodding syndrome to please their coach of, yes, 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 I understand, when in reality it's a detachment. You're not connecting with the player. I think you have to make sure, and a lot of the times I catch myself sometimes using terminology, that maybe, and I see a lot of this with high school coaches and with youth coaches using terminology that doesn't connect with the player. And you have to step back and go, do you understand what I mean? And if they don't, you have to use another kind of terminology to get to them, because most youth players want to please their coaches or their parents, and, they're saying yes in approval of most things that you say. So you have to step back and make sure, am I doing my job? Am I reaching my player? So if you could do anything for your players, I would say those are a few things you need to focus on. I think you need to use words to get them to do the correct fundamentals. And a lot of parents and coaches think that you have to have had to play at a high level. And when you're coaching youth players that are young, you don't have had to coach at a high level. You have to understand the fundamentals and just work hard to teach them. You don't have to go, a lot of people are intimidated by learning the fundamentals and teaching it to their kids. And I encourage that. I encourage parents to listen to everything I coach with their son and help them throughout the other days and throughout the rest of the week. So I think that's very important. I think learning the fundamentals and helping teach your kids is the key. And the other thing is, you got to have a lot of fun in what you're doing. If your players aren't having fun and it's becoming a chore, you're doing it wrong. I think you need to make sure that that's the focus, the fun and the enjoyment.
That sounds like a lot of great advice, Jason. I really thank you. It was a pleasure having you on the show with us. And Where can we find some more information about what you do?
Well, Sarah, what I've come up with is if you go to my website, thealamoacademy.com, you'll find an email box where you can put in your name and email. And basically, I do a lot of these interviews. I interview a lot of my college coach friends, my high school coach friends, and we send out emails every week giving out a lot of free information. You know, it's my challenge to get the whole community involved in learning a lot about baseball coaching and about baseball information. And it's all free to the public. Just got to get on the email address. So if you go to thealamoacademy.com, you'll get all my stuff right through there.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Well, Sarah, thanks. I really appreciate it to your listeners to have me on this call. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.